Hello, and welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Show. We're discussing Sunday's four-match slate at DraftKings. I'm joined by Ryan Belongia to discuss an Arsenal slate. Ryan is an Arsenal guy. This is an Arsenal slate. What's going on, Ryan?
Oh, not much. Going good. We're just in the middle of this Man City slate. Maybe things can break our way in the second half. But yeah, this slate, another Arsenal slate. Just my first thoughts. I was interested to hear your thoughts from a betting perspective because I thought Arsenal's total would be 2. This seems a little bit disrespectful. I don't know, Chelsea and Liverpool and Spurs, they've been getting 2 totals in similar spots like this. So I don't know. I liked Arsenal to score a couple goals. And then, we have Aston Villa as one of the third biggest favorite, I guess, or the third highest implied total, and they just lost their manager. So I don't know. How do you think they're going to come out at home against Brentford? Like, it could be a spot where they come out flying. It could be the exact opposite.
I think one thing I wanted to mention, just the last 2 game weeks, maybe 3 game weeks, home teams are, I don't know if this is, in general, obviously home teams always have an edge playing at home and all that, but I wonder if, these matches, depth is really being tested for a team like Liverpool, for a lot of teams. You got these midweek matches, a ton of games, and there's 2 away goals scored in the midweek matches. This morning, it's currently home teams have 4 goals, the away teams have 0. Some of this is matchups, obviously Brighton at Manchester City, but we just saw Nottingham Forest beat Liverpool, held them scoreless. So I think some of that might be going into the odds for Southampton. Like, Southampton, I guess we have to talk about their starting 11, which is an interesting thing here for this one, but you look at some of their home matches. They gave up 1 goal against Manchester United. They gave up 1 against West Ham, I think a week ago maybe it was, where they scored early and then West Ham were pressing a lot. So you have some results here of Southampton at home to maybe that's in the odds. But speaking of that lineup, so we got Kyle Walker-Peters out, so it's going to be the first game he's missed this season. They don't really have someone to take his place. We've seen James Ward-Prowse play at right back this season, but I highly doubt that he's there again. I'm actually projecting like a 3-4-3, something like that, something that Hasenhuttl has done in the past. Do you have any thoughts on that? We could see like Lianco come in. Like, what if we have Lianco at right back and they're still in their 4-4-2 or whatever they're playing versus a 3-4-3? What do you think either of those helps, like a Martinelli in this situation? Because if we have Martinelli going against like Lianco at right back, I think that's a perfect spot to attack.
Pretty good matchup, right? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They have no right backs basically. I guess they could put Gineppo in. We were talking about that last time, or maybe Gineppo on the wing even if they go three center backs. But yeah, whatever they do, it just makes me like Arsenal a little bit more. Right. Kyle Walker-Peters is obviously one of their 4 best defenders, so they should be a little bit worse.
Yeah, they have an 18-year-old Juan Larios. I think he came from Man City. He's played at left back this season, so that's another possibility. But either way, it's not Kyle Walker-Peters, and Martinelli has pretty much been carving up all right backs this season. He's been pretty awesome. Maybe it hasn't shown up in his numbers lately, but I guess we could start right there because Martinelli, I like him. I prefer him to Saka on this slate, but Saka's 9,900, Martinelli 8,600. I think that plays into just recent results really. So, do you have a preference there between those guys?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Martinelli for sure with $1,300 salary difference. It's just way too cheap for Martinelli on this slate. He's for cash games just got to be the first forward into your lineup. I agree. He's been great recently. He's been great all season. Hasn't really shown up in like the fantasy numbers as much recently, but that can change at any time. That'll change here if they don't have anyone to, like you mentioned, match up with him on that side. I don't know. Like I mentioned, I saw the 1.9 total and I don't know. I I like Arsenal to score 2 here for sure.
Right. So in that case, well, just for cash games here, do we consider Jesus at 8,100, or do we go down for a second forward instead
Yeah,
of going with two Arsenal guys here?
cash game is second forward is like the interesting decision in cash games. Also, I guess which midfielders you play. Midfield is kind of interesting because there's a lot of options. But yeah, he's too cheap as well. 8,100. I mean, you wouldn't normally consider that or consider him in cash games. But I guess I don't mind it. I was looking at lineups with Saka and Martinelli. I don't know. Like, did you see any cheap forwards, or mid-price forwards that you'd be comfortable playing in cash?
I think, well, this is an interesting slate because we have Tony up here, we have Mitrovic up here, guys who, people play those guys. It is no matter the price, like those guys are being played. Mitrovic has a pretty high floor for a forward, even though he's 8,800 away from home. Like he's going to be rostered, even if we don't agree with it. People will look at
In
him.
cash?
I think so. I mean, people love Mitrovic,
Man,
and they know
that's like,
he's going to take 5 shots, kind of a thing.
please don't play Mitrovic in cash.
Right.
Or like, please play him so we can just get all the money.
I mean, that
Whatever
could be
you
like a
wanna do, I guess.
Saramec build. We've seen some weird Saramec builds where he's going after, strikers. So,
Like at that point, you just got to play
Jesus
for
Right,
8,100, right? It's weird though because you're almost never spending up at both forward spots on Premier League slates. Sometimes in Champions League, but we always want to play defenders, and on this slate, it might be the worst slate I've ever seen for defenders, at least in the top range. And so you might be able to punt both spots, which is why I was looking at just playing Saka and Martinelli. I mean, unless you can sell me on someone cheaper, I'm not going to play. Like, Jesus would be fine as like a last guy in, but I would try to get up to Saka. I don't know.
Right. So the other cash options, if you don't want to go the two Arsenal guys or two high-end guys, we have some decisions, I guess. We have Willian here. Your favorite player, Willian, 7,400 at Leeds. Adama Traore is getting up there in price. He's now 7K home against Leicester. Coutinho is 6,400 home against Brentford. And then if Bamford starts, he's always in play, 4,900 home against Fulham. I think those are the main guys I see here. Of course, the Southampton guys are always down there. But
Oh man.
did I miss someone? What happened?
No, you didn't miss anyone.
Okay.
Yeah, like if those are the only guys, like that's tough. That's tough. Bamford 4,900.
Yeah,
It's not the worst, I guess.
if
You just hate
Bamford
it with the
starts,
playing
it's just he's not going to go more than 70. I don't think it's a short week. He's still not
Right.
fully fit.
Like,
So
no chance, But yeah, so that's a tough one. You might not like this, but out of all those guys, like I'd rather go Leon Bailey if he started. I know
Okay.
you mentioned the Villa guys. We don't have Bailey in the starting lineup, but I don't know. It's tough. This range is tough.
yeah, so I guess we haven't mentioned it. So the caretaker manager for Aston Villa, he was an assistant. He was brought in. We looked this up right before the show, but he was brought in by Dean Smith, and he's a Dean Smith guy. But Gerrard kept him on, and now he's still with the team. So he's been with the team for more than a year, I believe, right before last season. So he knows these guys. So I guess we'll find out who he actually prefers, who he likes in the team. Gerrard was always swapping a couple guys. He was swapping Buendia, Coutinho, Bailey, Ings pretty much all season. So we'll see if that's the same case. As I'm looking,
if it's even. No, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as I'm looking towards like the bottom, there is a young player on Aston Villa that may have a future. Cameron Archer is someone obviously this is like a very big stretch, but if like this caretaker manager, I'm forgetting his name, Danks, I believe. like Archer was pretty good in preseason, and if like he wants to really mix things up, he could go to some young players, some young teenagers in his first match. It might be a stretch, but something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Yeah, Villa are interesting. Like I mentioned, you just don't know how they're going to come out, especially like I think that makes them better for tournaments, obviously. But I don't know, these prices, I guess you could use Coutinho in cash games if you really wanted to. Again, like just seems like there's a lot of risk with these guys. You don't know what they're going to do. Like I wonder, this caretaker manager, like, is he even picking the first 11?
Right.
Like, who knows? Like the sporting director could just tell him who's starting. You know, if they have another manager lined up, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
that's a good point. So if Gerrard, would you be more willing to play these Aston Villa guys without Gerrard, or if Gerrard was manager? Because
yeah.
I mean, we did see him in their last. I'm just saying, in their last home match, they had 8 shots on target against Chelsea.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a bad team, so that's
right.
kind of.
I saw that, that match against Chelsea, and I wanted to play them against Fulham, and then look what happened. They were great in the first half against Chelsea. It's like crazy that they didn't score. Kepa made a couple amazing saves. So yeah, I don't know. Like, to answer your question, I don't know. Like, I don't mind them here. I guess they're cheap enough where you could see them like sort of just, I don't know what the right way to put it is, just not caring as much and just coming out and going for it, sort of thing. So yeah, I don't mind taking a chance like that in tournaments.
So these other matches are going on as we speak, and we just got a Leandro Trossard goal from Solly March. So Ederson just got stained as we're speaking now. But all right, so
Trossard goal, you said?
Yep, Trossard scored. Yep, from March.
Okay.
Winger to winger.
Interesting.
Who else? Does anyone else stand out here? We haven't even mentioned Wolverhampton. They're home against Leicester City. I think that needs to be taken into account. I guess Traore there says 7,000. I just don't know what to do with Diego Costa because he continues to start. He started back-to-back matches on a short week. Like, I'm not going to be playing him, but people will play him because he's a $4,600 forward. If someone else starts, like if Hechan starts, would you play him? I don't think you're playing Costa based off prior statements made on him. Like, are you looking at Podence? It's kind of difficult here.
Like, nothing for cash games, but yeah, for tournaments. Weird that Costa keeps starting. You're right. I don't wanna roster Costa. Like,
no,
he just seems really bad. Like, why are they starting him? He's the worst of all their options. I don't know. Yeah, that's a weird situation. No, I wouldn't want to play Costa. I wouldn't mind taking a shot on Hechan. Hechan's won me some big money before. Nobody ever plays him. This is a weird slate where you're just gonna need a random goal. You might just need a random goal somewhere. Like there aren't like no one's a favorite to score on this slate. So yeah, it's one of those slates where you try to find a low owned goal or two, and Hechan could definitely do it.
So one of my strategies this week in my betting article was to bet on teams who the public is probably off of because they look bad midweek, and that's one of my favorite strategies. Is like people have the recent results in their minds, so that they stick with that. So how do you think that has an effect here in DFS? Just in terms of like we have Leeds home against Fulham. We just saw what Fulham did against Aston Villa, and then we have Wolverhampton against Leicester, that kind of thing, and then Aston Villa with their caretaker manager.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at just like Rodrigo or just Leeds here in general. Like Rodrigo 7,100. He's probably not going to be very popular. Like he probably won some tournaments earlier in the season. He's still getting kind of back to fitness a little bit here, but I mean, you have these guys in this mid range that probably won't be that popular because we have Tony up here. We have the Arsenal guys. We have Mitrovic. So, like, go down a couple thousand even. You have a bunch of guys who can look at that, have, brace potential pretty much.
Yep, and that's a good point you brought up at the start. I definitely think about that kind of stuff. Like this Leeds-Fulham match, Leeds were pretty bad, and everybody saw that against Leicester, while Fulham like were better than expected against Villa. So you figure that would like push people each way a little more to Fulham, a little less to Leeds. So yeah, I like doing that. I was looking at some of these Leeds guys, any of them. I don't mind Sinistera either. I mean, he looks pretty promising. Hit the crossbar, would have been a really nice goal midweek.
He's sitting in my lineup, so I forgot to mention him. So there you go.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm with you. I like some Leeds guys.
Yeah, Sinistera, it's just the one of the questions with Leeds is a lot of these guys are subbing out. Pretty much no one is immune to being subbed out early. Leeds has, I don't know, a bunch of
They've got a lot
young
of attackers.
Guys. Yeah, they got a bunch of guys on the
attackers.
bench that come in every match. So that is one of the worries. But anyone else you want to mention at forward here? Jamie Vardy going to win some tournaments, 6,200?
Not for me, he's not.
No, I think Daka starts anyway.
Yeah.
And Daka's 7,200.
Yeah, you know, people tried with Vardy midweek at home against Leeds, and you got 0.1 out of him. So, you know.
You did mention that match. Leicester did win, but they also only had 5 shots. One was a terrible own goal, and the other was just Harvey Barnes doing Harvey Barnes thing. Like they didn't even outplay Leeds. I'd say it's just they're better defensively than Leeds, I guess.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty ugly match. Yeah, so no, I don't want like a piece of Vardy.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
if I would like the Southampton guys, I guess, you know, like you mentioned at the start, just more so because no one's gonna play them and they're cheap. Like, I was going to talk about that. Like, I said I like Arsenal, so I probably want to have a couple Arsenal guys in a bunch of my lineups. And do you run it back with a Southampton guy or not? Like, specifically, I was thinking... Che, yeah, that would be a good one. But I guess we can go to midfielder because I was going to bring up ward-prowse, you know. We keep trying it with ward-prowse, and he just keeps not doing it. I mean, yeah, he scored 10 points last time, but now he's even cheaper. I guess, yeah. Do you want to play him in cash games this week?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
So I guess we got to go with some of these other guys that are higher up. So a decision will have to be made between if you want to do 2... I guess maybe you could fit all these guys in, but it's between 2 high-end forwards with Madison or without Madison, or a high-end forward maybe, and then a lower-end forward with Madison. Do you want to play Madison though at Wolverhampton, 9,800? Not the best spot, but he's been pretty good, and he's rested because he was suspended here. So,
well, it's tough. First, you got to tell me who you want to play over him. So which 2 midfielders under him do you want to play?
I would be willing to go with Harrison or Aronson. Probably Aronson here.
Okay, so let's take Aronson just because he's cheaper. Anyone else? Like, what do you think about Pereira?
I don't know if I should give my Pereira thoughts after what just happened against Aston.
He took all the corners. You know, Leeds isn't the worst matchup. Anyways, the point I'm getting at is, I guess you would have to sort of like Pereira, but Aronson and Pereira are the exact same price as Madison and Douglas Luiz. So put that in your brain and pop out which 2 score the most points. I mean, it's like it's a legit decision because like I agree with you. Like Madison 9,800 away, it's not like you don't have to play that spot. But like, what are you gonna do if you don't? Well, you play a Leeds guy like you said. And then what though?
Would you rather play Moutinho? Would you rather play Moutinho over Luiz?
Well, Moutinho was actually, funny you say that, he was actually already in the lineup as well. He's at the flex. I have him down there at the flex. Like, this could be a Moutinho slate for cash because there's no defenders.
Yeah.
So, and he's only 4,300. So it's one where I don't really mind playing Moutinho.
We also have Luis, who was wrongly sent off last game. Do you think he's just gonna he really wants this red card, so he's gonna be sent off in this game?
Yeah, no, I saw that he got his red rescinded. I mean, he should have, but yeah,
That was
no. I don't know. You think Louise? I don't like rostering Louise ever, but home to Brentford seems okay for cash games.
hmm I just feel like I guess if you're playing both Coutinho and Luis, then it's not a conversation. But I guess if you're
Is that
in this
bad?
range, it just feels like Coutinho maybe is safer because he's going to be taking set pieces. Whereas with Luis, like we have Coutinho, we have McGinn, these guys have taken set pieces before, so that
Yeah.
situation is always changing. They have a different manager, so maybe he has other thoughts on that. So
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Louise is for sure going to take half the corners, though. He's just so good at them. I mean, yeah, I guess unless, they try to do something new from now on, or instead of the corners that Louise takes, where he puts them closer to the keeper. I don't know. Yeah, I don't love rostering Louise or Moutinho. This is a weird slate for cash games. But, if you do that, it lets you play two good forwards. So, if you want, you can try to go for you can try to go for one of these cheap forwards that aren't very appealing to get to one of these other midfielders. But like I said, who do you feel that confident in? I get that these 7K guys have higher floors, but are you sure they're going to score you 15? I don't know.
no.
It's
Yeah.
tough.
Plus,
It's
plus with the
tough.
Leeds guys, you don't know about the 90 minutes. I mean, I've been on Aronson because he's been cheaper than Harrison all season. He's gone back to back 90s. Is he gonna go, in 8 days or whatever? Is he gonna go do 3 90s in 8 days or however many days it is? Probably not. So that
Right, I
is
know. I was thinking about that too. So
that.
then what if you played Harrison? Harrison's an option, I guess. Yeah, you mentioned him obviously, but
I think even Buendia is under consideration at 8K.
mm, I couldn't do that.
I think he had a 10-point floor in his last start, but
Did he take sets?
I think he did. I don't know how he got the 8-point or the 10-point floor without him, but let's check it out.
Yeah,
He had
I
one
don't think
corner.
you should do that.
He had one
I
corner.
mean, you can't play a midfielder on this slate who's not taking corners.
Yeah. Yeah, at least in cash games.
Not for exactly right for cash games.
Let's see. Let's go down. Jensen, 5,900. Tough to do. Ruben Neves took some corners last match, but he's 5,800. Not going to do that. McGinn, 5,400. Maybe no corners, but, he's always a guy with a floor that's up there. But again, why play him over a Luis
McGinn, I was thinking
or Matinho?
maybe corners for McGinn though. He would if it's the reason he hasn't been taking them is because Leon Bailey's been playing. So I would expect with that lineup, McGinn would split with Louise. At
Yeah,
least
what do
that's
we
what I would
have?
expect.
What do we have? The last time Luis and Coutinho took them, and McGinn didn't have any. It's just a situation where you have four potential guys taking them, and maybe
Yeah,
Buendia's
true.
on
I
one.
see
It's
Buendia.
just hard.
Yeah, Villa sets are not something I guess you want to target. You can't be too sure.
That's probably it. You're down here. Matinho's 4,300, and there's not much else. I guess when Harrison didn't start, like Mark Rocco was taking some, but I, Harrison should start. But I guess it's something to consider if the lineups are weird. That's probably it here for cash games. Otherwise, it's no one really down here. Gineppo, if Gineppo is playing like you mentioned as a wing back, 3,200, you can do worse things than a wing back at 3,200, especially one like Gineppo who has been in attacking roles before, so you know he's gonna get forward. So
Yeah. You just got to play Moutinho, I think, if you're in that in that range. It's weird to say, but Gineppo's floor is still like 1 point, and he gets subbed at 55 minutes or something, and they're the biggest underdog. So not for cash games.
right. If Moutinho doesn't start, then what's your move? You're kind of you get try and find a way to Luis, or are we talking utility spot with this?
Well, yeah, good. Yeah, no, I'd probably try to find a way to Luis, or I would just get rid of Madison and just sort of go more balanced.
I know you're a Nunez fan here. Would you drop down to Nunez at 4K?
I am a Nunez fan. If Moutinho wasn't in there, well, Podence took sets over him last time, so right?
Yeah.
So I don't think, Nunez without. Part of the reason I liked him is because he would take corners when Moutinho wasn't in there, but it doesn't seem like that's happening anymore. I like him more as a player than I do for DFS at the moment, or at least for GPPs. Like, he's been getting forward. He's going to come up with a goal soon, but wouldn't be excited about it.
I'm going through Tyler Adams' game log. He only has shots assisted in away matches, and he doesn't do anything in home matches for some reason. It's a weird game log here. Like, why is he? I guess it's just how the matches are going. These away matches for Leeds where they go down goals. So I guess he's pushing a little more. It's probably has something to do with it a little more there.
Mm-hmm.
So as you said, your favorite defender slate that you've seen, we have Kenny Tete, who's probably not going to start at Mac as the most expensive one here, but
that's funny.
These guys high up, like probably none of these guys are going to start. Tete's not going to start. Zinchenko's not going to start. So most likely to start, Nuri probably comes back in for Hugo Bueno, 5,600 without sets. Like, why are we?
Yeah, you say without sets, but I actually think he would take a few, right? I think that's why they priced him up there initially. Now that Neto's not in there, he's their only left-footed guy. And,
he hasn't taken any corners, though, this season. And Neto's been out for a while. I guess not a while, but for a few matches.
Okay, well, yeah, I would have to look more into the numbers, but I would expect Nuri to take a few set pieces, but not enough for me to play him in cash games. But
Neves isn't left-footed, is he?
No.
Okay. He has corners taken each of the last two matches, so I wonder if he's on.
Or maybe they're just not taking left-footed
right
corners anymore. That's possible. In swingers from one side and out swingers from the other.
Yeah, well, yeah. Or they could just be taking all those short because they don't have anyone who's good at them. So, unfortunately, we are not the Wolverhampton Whisperers here.
No.
So, what to do at defender? We got the Wolverhampton guys. We got the Aston Villa guys. Kieran Tierney, if he starts, is 5,200. I mean, just no one stands out is kind of the issue. They're all in this 5K range, and no one really. Does someone stand out to you in this range? I mean, all these guys are pretty much on the same level. Maybe you just go with a couple home fullbacks if you're in this range. If you have the money to spend, depending on what you do elsewhere, obviously it's going to depend on if you have Madison in your team, kind of a thing. Or do you just go down and find other players, basically?
I think maybe Roerslev for Brentford.
If he starts again.
What do you think about that? 3,100 playing on the wing?
Yeah, he was really getting talked up last match. Yeah, against Chelsea. He might have been. He was up there for player of the match for Brentford because that was a scoreless draw against Chelsea. But yeah, 3,100 wing back. So, yeah.
So I was just checking out Wolves. Nuri has actually only started one match since Neto has been injured, and it was that Nottingham Forest match. And I just remember I watched almost all that match, and all of the corners were on the right side because everything just went through Adama and he won like a million corners over there. Yeah. So I don't really know I think Aitnery would take some corners if they get any on that left side, you know. But again, I'm not gonna worry about that for cash games. So yeah, sorry, I was looking at that. I didn't really hear you. Are any of these fullbacks? Is that what you were talking about? These sort of mid-priced or fullbacks?
Yeah, does anyone stand out? I mean, they're all kind of the same.
I don't think anyone stands out. No, like I would play Ben White, I think. Right back Ben White. I mean, is there anyone that, like, who would you play?
Would you rather play Ben White or Tomiyasu if those two start?
I mean, for sure Ben White.
For sure Ben White over Tomiyasu?
For sure Ben. Yeah, I mean, okay, it sounds hilarious, right? Center back playing right back. Tomiyasu does way less for fantasy than Ben White does.
I don't know. Does Ben White do a lot for fantasy?
Nope, but he does more than Tomiyasu, I promise you.
Oh, man. Let's check the numbers here. Okay, Ben White, 5.02 floor. Tomiyasu, 5.64 floor in 253 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about Ben White and Tomiyasu here, two guys who
I don't know. Okay, I guess I'm going by the eye test, I guess.
I feel like Tomiyasu has more like defensive work than Ben White does, and like defensive
Tomiyasu
stats.
Picked up an assist. He got an assist against PSV. I mean, he doesn't have one good game all season though.
Well, Tomiyasu's been hurt. I don't think you can look at that though. Like, he's coming back from injury, so he hasn't really been healthy for a while. He's really getting So I don't think we can look at Tomiyasu's numbers from this season. I guess is kind of where I'm coming from.
I suppose.
Not that he was good last season. I want to make that clear. It's not like he was, putting in a ton of good stats last season. Yeah,
I don't know if that's the matchup. Like, remember this. I don't even know why I would.
5.59 shots and 1.66 crosses per 90 last season. Basically better than what he's been doing.
Playing right back, probably.
Yeah, if I remember, he was
playing
mostly right back because it was Tierney and then Nuno, Tavares were the left backs.
Well, then sure,
season.
Just an Arsenal guy, but yeah.
Also in this range.
No.
I guess the question is.
Sorry, just go ahead.
The question in this range, we're talking about these Arsenal guys, but we also have Anthony Robinson at 4K. We have Firpo, if you're in that camp there, 3,800. So we got these other options. Would you rather the Arsenal guys or the other guys? Like Anthony Robinson has been pretty popular in cash games recently.
Yeah, Robinson, he's almost who I said. So Robinson, maybe. Like, I guess you just got to decide if you like him more than Ben White.
So would you rather go look at these 4K guys who are kind of all the same, or the 5K guys who are kind of all the same?
That's what I mean. Like,
or go down to Rearslev if he starts at 3,100.
Well, that's what he would be the first defender in for me. 3,400 or 3,100. Yeah, he would be the first defender in. And then after that, it doesn't matter. Just get the lineup that you want to play, and then play a defender. You could play a 2,500 guy. It might not be that big of a mistake. You don't really need it.
If we talked about it earlier, but any thoughts of Lianco and Juan Larios if they're starting at right back for Southampton? They're both 2,500.
They'd be fine, I guess.
Yeah, they'd be fine. That's kind of all there is to say about it.
There isn't much opportunity costs. Like, who's gonna beat you?
Right. It's not like we have these. I don't know, Reece James, TAA.
Like, who's gonna be the most popular defender in cash games?
None of these guys are guaranteed for 10 points. So like none of these guys are must. So really,
right? Who would be the most popular defender?
Ashley Young.
No way.
Who is? Anthony Robinson?
Who is going to spend up? Yeah, I would say no. I actually think it would be Roerslev if he started.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, like I think people would look at Robinson, maybe the Arsenal guys.
They go with the
I just gotta say,
American play.
remember that I said this. Remember that I said this too. Ben White, just take these three categories: shots, shots assisted, and crosses. The offensive categories. Ben White will have more of those than Tomiyasu this season.
Oh, this season. Okay, this isn't just for tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is what side of the field.
Are we doing this per 90 or what?
No, just total. Well,
Ben White already has like 500 more minutes.
Okay. In games that they both start.
Okay. There's gonna be like 2 of those.
I don't know. Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, probably Zinchenko and Tierney, right? This is like gonna be the only time.
I'm looking through the game logs here. So Ben White has 1 shot this season, 6 chances created. Tomiyasu has 1 shot and 2 chances created. What are we talking about here?
Again, it's another one of those. What are we talking about? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, like, pretty much.
2 basically center backs who are basically do nothing as fullbacks. Trying to argue who's going to get 1 shot assisted or something.
This is an incredible slate. Meanwhile, we got an Anthony Gordon goal and a De Bruyne goal. So more goals for the home sides here.
Looking like Pickford. Pickford's going to be the goalie.
Yeah, that was between him and
you called it too. You called Brighton scoring. And I had to play Ederson, of course.
I told you about Pickford. Well, I didn't, but I told myself about
it's so
Pickford.
hard for me to click Pickford.
Speaking of goalies, so Arsenal, 38% clean sheet percent. Ramsdale is 5,600. This isn't really, there's not much of a reason to play Ramsdale, is there? At 5,600, 38%. Are you finding yourself playing him in cash lineups, I guess?
I don't know. I would.
Well, okay, I mean, you just look at the percentages here. Like, I mean, Leicester, Brentford, 24%, 22%. That's only about 15% less odds than Arsenal.
So it goes back to the thing I said before. Who are you going to play? Like, if you're paying down at keeper, okay, but for what? Like, what are you going to do?
I might go to Bazunu, actually.
Okay, no, I mean, though, like, what are you going to do at the other positions? Like, what are you going to do with how much is Bazuna? Okay, what are you going to do with your 1,700? If I play Ramsdale and
you're going to use Madison. You're going to go Madison over, I don't know, whoever else.
Man, my lineup has Madison in it right now.
I mean... Well, I'm just saying Bazunu because he is making multiple saves in every match, and
yeah. I mean, okay, I don't mind it. Again, I could be wrong about this. This is sort of a weird slate for me, and it's just where, yeah, I don't know. Like, if I can get the raw points at keeper, and I'm not sacrificing as much in other places, I might just do it. I mean, I'm looking at a lineup right now. If the expected lineups came out, I think I'd be more than comfortable playing this lineup. I mean, look, I can just tell you, you can put in Saka, Martinelli, Madison, Moutinho, Luiz, those 5 players, right? I'm not saying they're the best, but just it lets you get to Saka and Martinelli. Then look, Ramsdale, Ben White, Roerslev.
Ben White.
I mean, where is that lineup? Okay, so how can that lineup be better? You can get rid of Madison maybe and Luiz for some better midfielders. I mean, now you got to pick and choose. Who are you going to stake your future on? Aronson, Harrison, Pereira? I mean, I don't know. That
lineup is pretty easy.
Right? It's pretty easy. It's not great playing Moutinho and Luiz. You'd obviously want... you'd want different midfielders, and that's why I mentioned at the start, if you don't like that lineup, look at that little 2v2 you can do. Pereira and Aronson. Oh, that works too if you don't want Madison and Luiz.
Yeah, it's just that... because we don't have to spend up for defenders, we're like afforded the ability to.
Right. And like it actually the best thing might be to not punt forward. That actually might be the edge. So then you make sacrifices to do that. So like to go back to your original question, no, I would not target or Ramsdale in his 38% odds, but like if I can, I mean he's projected as the highest scoring goalkeeper based on the win odds. So I don't know, like that lineup looks pretty decent, if those are the if those are the lineups.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week. You didn't like playing Ramsdale away from home, but you got another clean sheet. I think that's 4 clean sheets and 5 away matches this season for Arsenal.
Yeah, and more so I'm just playing him for the win. Too.
Right. Yeah. I can't argue that. So I guess the question is, what if Reerslev doesn't start?
Yeah. Then maybe you just don't like Ramsdale's not a priority. He's not a priority at all. So then maybe.
Well, would you just go with? You wouldn't go with like any of these pretty much center backs down here.
Oh, that's interesting to keep Ramsdale.
Like I mean, we
I don't
have
know. Maybe
Diego,
you just.
we have a guy like Diego Llorente. Leads are favored. It's just
Yeah.
like it's a center back, but it's like it's either Ramsdale and Llorente or a cheaper goalkeeper and Anthony Robinson or Ashley
Right.
Young or whoever. So is it worth it to go up to the fullbacks or is it worth it to get Ramsdale?
Probably the fullbacks, right? I don't know. That's one where I don't know if I have the right answer. I don't know. I don't know if I have the right answer. I think Roerslev is considerably better than center backs. So I don't know if Ramsdale is worth playing a center back, I guess.
And then I guess if we have a $2,500 fullback for Southampton,
Yeah.
I guess that would maybe allow you to upgrade Ben White or maybe allow you to upgrade Douglas Luiz.
Douglas Luiz. Yeah,
But I
it'd be
mean,
nice
you're
not to play
upgrading to
Luiz.
what? Yeah,
You
you're
know?
upgrading to John McGinn, I guess.
I don't know. Like, who do you want to get up to, right? If you don't play Luiz, like, you got to think who is worth it. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like Aronson. You'd almost want to go all the way up to Aronson. I mean, any of these other guys, you're almost like, I'll just play Luiz.
Right. All right. Well, I think that's there's your cash build. If you're watching the show, the cash build is right there. You just got to make once the lineups come out, you got to make some decisions about what you want to do. But yeah, I mean, there is a way. If there's a way to get Madison, Saka, Martinelli, like why not just do that? These guys have pretty
Right.
much automatic 10 to 15 point floors plus upside,
Yeah.
as much upside as anyone else. So
Yeah. So, like, another point about those two Arsenal forwards is if you would say that maybe I'm sacrificing a little too much with that lineup to get those two Arsenal forwards, well, they can just win the slate for you. They can make up for quite a few mistakes if I don't know each one of them scores. I don't know, one of them scores 30. I mean, those are possibilities as well.
yeah, I mean, and if that happens, like, and if you have Martinelli and you don't have Saka, or you have Saka and
Right,
you
it
don't
would
have
be Saka.
Martinelli.
Yeah, everyone will have Martinelli, right?
So if you don't have Saka and he's
Right,
been
Saka could win the slate for you, right? If
Saka's
he's going
on
to be
a
less
pretty good
popular.
run of form, and if
And
it's
he's got
like
pens.
if it's like what 40 to 50% on Saka and he goes for another 20 plus point performance and you don't have him, then but you're probably not going to cash unless you found a different forward who also is.
Yeah,
So
it's just like an extra out. Like sometimes you can build a little bit more upside into your lineups if you're not sacrificing too much floor. Like if there's close decisions.
all right. So Arsenal are going to be the most popular. Who's going to be the most popular forward not on Arsenal? Is that impossible to project here? Do you think it's
Man, that is tough.
Is it going to be Mitrovic at 8,800? Do you think people are going to go to him at Leeds?
Possible, I guess. Yeah. you mentioned, like people like to play him. He's been on a pretty good run.
He's probably averaging 5 shots per 90 minutes.
Yeah, he takes a lot of shots. So yeah, maybe it will be Mitro. I don't see where else people are gonna go. It would have to be a home team, so it would have to be Leeds or Villa. The next two implied totals. I don't know. Like, are people gonna play those guys a lot? I don't think so. So yeah, maybe it would be Mitro. I guess you're right.
What what matchup stands out the most? The Leeds Fulham match has the highest implied total by a little, by not very much, but it does. Do you think that maybe is that the matchup to target, or
I think that one or the Villa Brentford, just because Villa Brentford has some unknowns. You don't know which Villa you're gonna get, and those players are cheap. And look, these totals are under 3. So like it doesn't take much for one of these games to just be way better than the other ones. Like so I don't mind, yeah, like Villa, I guess I would say. And if I'm gonna target these games for tournaments, I think stacks are more in play. Like 2 Leeds forwards or 2 Villa forwards. I mean, again, you could see 3 games sort of be duds and just 1 game have a few goals. So I kind of like stacks more so than other slates, especially because this isn't a slate where I'm going to have defenders that I'm just playing in every lineup, or like high floors that I can count on, where I can. So you have to use some different GPP strategies on slates like these.
yeah, I'd probably outside of Arsenal, I'd look at Leeds, I'd look at Aston Villa. It's just hard to look at Wolves because of the Costa situation, but
People might say, look at Brentford going against this reeling Aston Villa side. I don't know.
yeah, that's what kind of why I prefer Villa. I guess it's just Villa are favored and everything, so it'll be hard to read where people are actually going. But Brentford away matches. I'm not. They just drew Chelsea, scoreless draw, coming off a couple home matches. Brentford away, you look at what Aston Villa did in their last home match against Chelsea. There's possibility some of the players didn't really like Gerrard, and maybe if they come out like that Chelsea match, if they come out, pressing and pushing forward, like Brentford are open to allowing a bunch of goals.
Mm-hmm.
So, you really could look at any of these matchups for who you want to target here. So, I don't know how helpful that is, but
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you're right though. Um, Man, another assist for Iwobi. Come on.
yeah, Dwight McNeil.
Um, yeah. Okay. The last thing I'll say is, and this is for tournaments, because no one's really gonna play him. But these are the spots. These are the spots for our boy JWP to come up with a free kick or a pen when Southampton is the underdog. He's done it against Arsenal before. He's only 7K. So I may still play some JWP in some of my Arsenal stacks.
JWP in tournaments.
JWP in tournaments. Don't rule it out. That's all I'm saying.
All right, if you had to guess, who's gonna win some GPPs for the slate?
I wish I knew, man. I really don't know. Well, it can't be any Arsenal guys, right? Because they'll all be so popular.
It's gonna be. I'm gonna say Rodrigo. It's gonna be Rodrigo, and a lot of people are down on. Well, maybe not a lot of people. Just people in our Discord are down on Ollie Watkins, and I'm gonna say Ollie Watkins.
Mm-hmm.
Rodrigo and Ollie Watkins are guys I'm gonna target here.
I can get behind Ollie Watkins. I'm not down on Ollie Watkins. I think he's a good player.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like this Villa squad is not bad. It just didn't work out for some reason. Whatever was going on with Gerrard, it just didn't happen. So we'll see what happens after he's only been gone for 3 days. So maybe not much can change. But at some point, I think they're going to figure things out. We gotta project when that's actually going to be. Maybe it'll be because everyone hated Gerrard and now they're going to play harder. But all right. So before we go, do you have anything else?
No, I'm just annoyed at myself for not having a Welby, especially after I touted him on the podcast for no reason.
Yeah, Ryan is he's dwelling in what may be some losses here. So luckily, I'm not even.
I've had like a tough couple weeks. It's gonna turn around real soon.
Oh, I've had a tough couple weeks as well. So
yeah, it's gonna turn around real soon.
Okay, so before we go, we're gonna put in. We need Ryan has to go to put in his lineups, but we have it appears a 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1 for Chelsea. Sterling, Mount, Aubameyang up front, Chilwell, Azpilicueta wing back, and then really no changes for Manchester United except for Eriksen is in. How do you want to play this showdown here? Do you think Bruno is going to be too popular after recent results, or do you think people should play Bruno even with Eriksen in the squad here?
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think he'd probably be too popular, and we're just assuming he's not taking corners now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do think he'll be too popular. The only thing is, I'm worried that, like, I don't know. How do you see this match going? I'm almost worried that it's going to be United that are creating more chances. I don't know. Maybe not.
I think there's zero chance they replicate what they just did. I'm going to be betting under 2.5 in this one. I'm going to be captaining a goalkeeper, that's for sure.
Yep.
And what we've said many times before, for Graham Potter sides, the other side doesn't get a ton of opportunities against Graham Potter sides. So,
yeah, unless you're Aston Villa with 6 shots on target in the first 20 minutes.
We're ignoring that one, okay? We're ignoring.
Okay, yep. We're ignoring that one. We're ignoring that one. All right, let's make some showdown lineups.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Spurs just stink, according to Jack Burkhart.
Yeah, poor Jack. I mean, they don't stink, but it's so tough to be a top team that's not like dominant on the ball and dominant in creating chances and like playing on the counter and looking second best against teams that they shouldn't be second best against. It's just, it's tough to be a Spurs fan.
All right, you can find Ryan at Ryan Belongia on Twitter. I am at Zdroik. To get this cheat sheet, just go to rotowire.com. Get our cheat sheets, rotowire.com/soccertrial. If you're not subscribed, free 10-day trial, and then rotowire.com/chat. You can join us in the chat. We got a lot of conversations going on, a lot of Bundesliga talk, a lot of conversations about Nottingham Forest center backs. If you're interested in Nottingham Forest center back conversations, go to our Discord because those are what's going on. that went on this morning.
That was great.
But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Ryan, good luck on the showdown. Good luck on Sunday's slate. And we'll be back for Champions League next week. Actually, I'll do a showdown video for Monday night's West Ham Bournemouth match. So be on the lookout for that. And then we got Champions League. But thanks, Ryan. And we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Good luck, everybody.